So this time, so again, what we need is a square sheet of paper, which I have right here. And I'm just going to make a few quick folds, and then we're going to get right into actually making a cube. So take the bottom right corner and fold it up to the top left. Folding this as flat as I can and making sure that those corners meet up as perfect as I can get them. So really pressing this down. Alright, then I open that up, and since I just did this way, meeting these two corners, I'm now going to do the other side. So that way I create an X in the middle of my paper. Again, folding this as firm as possible. Nice and crisp. So if you take a look at your folds, it should look kind of like an X. I have one fold down that way and one fold across this way. So now inside there I have an X. Alright, so now what I'm going to do from here is a little tricky, pretty similar to the tetrahedron, in that I'm going to be pinching these sides right in the middle into the inside. So what I mean is, if I look at this X, I have a triangle up front. So I can pinch those folds and make that triangle. And now on the back, I have a second triangle. And I can pinch those sides and then flatten my X. Flatten it as much as I can. So, this is what I should have now. I'm going to go back through in just a second to show you how that happened. So, if I look at this, right now I just have two triangles with it folded in on the inside. So it's folded in on the inside. Alright, let's go back to how to do this. So again, what I did was I have my X here, and I see that this X makes a couple different triangles, one on the top and one on the bottom. So I flatten this out and I take a look at one of those triangles and I pinch the sides of it, and then that makes this other side make a triangle. So I just flatten it down to make a single triangle. Alright, so from there what I do is I lay it down and I take one of my free flaps here and bring it up to the top of the triangle. So here's what I did. I have a free flap. I have a free flap right here. Right, there's two of them, made by those two triangles. I'm going to take that flap and bring this corner up to the top of the triangle. And I'm going to do the same thing with this side. I'm going to take this flap, bring it up to the top of the triangle. Making sure that I fold each one of these creases as hard as I can. Make them nice and flat, nice and crisp. So now I have this diamond looking part with this flaps. Now what I do is I take these edges that I'm holding, these corners I'm holding, and fold them in towards the center. So I take both of those and fold them towards the center. So here we go, I have my diamond. I take that edge and I fold it right there to the center where those two lines meet, where the two folds meet. Alright, so now I have those together, and now I have a free flap right up here. I'm going to tuck that in that fold that I just made. So here I have it. I'm going to open it up a little bit and tuck that piece right inside. So this one I have it tucked in. This side I don't have it tucked in yet, but that's what I'm going to do. Now I tuck in that side. So now I have something that looks like this. Alright, if that looked kind of tricky, I'll go through it again because we actually have to do that on the other side as well. The same thing. So I'm going to turn it over. Now I'm going to do the same thing. So if you didn't get that first side, watch closely on this second side because we do the same thing on each side. First thing I do is I take this tab down here, the bottom of the triangle, and I fold it up to the top of the triangle so that way the points meet. Making sure that you fold it nice and crisp, as flat as you can get it. So I took that corner, folded it right up to the top. Now I take this corner and fold it up to the top. So now I'm back to a diamond looking piece. So here I had my triangle. I took these corners and I folded them up to the top corner of my triangle. Took this other bottom corner and folded it up to the top of this triangle. So now is where I take this corner and fold it into the center, right here. So I take this corner and fold it into the center. So here we go. I got that corner and I folded it in to where that tip just meets the center. Now I do the same thing with this corner. So now I took this other corner and I folded it in to where the tip, they just meet each other, right at the center. Now I have these two flaps up at the top again. So those folds that I just made, I'm going to open those up. If you look, they can form a little pocket. So this fold right here, this piece right here that I folded in that corner, if you look at it, it can form a pocket. So what I do is I take that flap and I tuck it inside that pocket. Then I do the same thing with the other side. Create a little pocket and tuck that flap inside of it. So now on this side I have those flaps tucked in, and on the other side I have the same thing. So on the other side I have the same thing. I have the flaps tucked in. So there we go. We've just done all the folds to make this box, to make the cube. So if you look up here at this top where these flaps were, it's a solid point, but if you flip it over and look at this part, it's kind of cut off a little bit, and in fact it makes a little hole. So what you can do is grab opposite flaps, so say this front flap here and this back flap here, hold on to that and then blow into that hole. So there we go. Now I inflated my box. So there we go. We've just created a cube.